Have you ever heard someone say, "Kids have it easy these days"? Well, in some cases, that is true. As tough as modern life can be, at least we don't have to worry about getting hit with a cane when we forget our homework. But of course, that wasn't always the case. Part 1. The oldest evidence of homework beatings. Archaeologists digging at Anyang, the last capital of China's Shang Dynasty, that's about 3,000 to 3,600 years ago, found oracle bone inscriptions. Think of them as ancient scripts carved into turtle shells. On one of these bones, they found the earliest form of the Chinese character for teach. And guess what this character is made of? On the left, a kid learning maths with counting rods. On the right, a cane. Yes, in ancient China, the literal definition of teaching was help a child learn with a cane. 3,600 years later, kids are still terrified of maths. Coincidence? I'm not so sure. Part 2. Ancient classroom management. Bring your own cane. By the time of the pre-Qin era, over 2,000 years ago, classroom discipline was already a system. Ancient texts even instructed teachers on how to come to class prepared. And by prepared, it meant bring your own cane. These canes even had an official name: approved beating equipment. Ancient China truly said, "Classroom management? We've got a tool for that." Part 3. The Ming and Qing era, when punishment became an institution. Fast forward to Imperial China's most bureaucratic times, education became more organized, more serious, and so did the punishments. At the Imperial Academy, there was an entire office dedicated to discipline, the Department of Rod and Whip. Yes, that was a real thing, and here's the plot twist. They punished both students and teachers. Imagine your school having a detention room where both you and your teacher could be dragged away for being lazy. Part 4. No angels in the West. Before anyone says, "Ah yes, the barbaric East," let's check in on the rest of the ancient world. In ancient Egypt, they believed the gods themselves invented the teacher's cane. If that's true, then the god of education must have been really fed up. Then there's the quotes passed down through Judeo-Christian cultures. "A rod and reproof bring wisdom." Or, perhaps more well known, "Spare the rod, spoil the child." So yes, East and West were tied for the gold medal in ancient educational child abuse. Humanity, united by maths homework and beating children. Part 5. Even Confucius had his angry teacher moments. Confucius is often portrayed as a gentle old philosopher, but even he had days when his patience meter hit zero. When one of his students, Zayu, slept during a daytime lecture, Confucius snapped and delivered one of history's most iconic teacher insults. "A rotten piece of wood cannot be carved, and a wall made of dirt cannot be plastered." Which I imagine probably sounded better in Chinese. Good news though, Zayu did improve and became one of Confucius's top students. So maybe the roast worked. Regardless, it was definitely better than beating his student with a stick. Part 6. When students fought back. In ancient China, punishment wasn't always a one-way street. A Qing Dynasty story tells of a spoiled kid who got beaten for insulting his teacher. He went home furious and told his parents, "If I can't beat him back, I don't want to live." His parents, terrified for their child, ended up paying the teacher a pile of silver for permission to let their son beat him once. This might be the world's earliest example of customer compensation policy. Part 7. Why was corporal punishment so common? Several reasons. 1. Learning was brutally hard. Ancient knowledge was dense, abstract, and usually memorized. There were no cartoons, no apps, no interactive education. Just you, a bamboo book, and stress. 2. More importantly, teachers received zero training. There was no teacher certification. no seminars on child psychology, no TED Talks about empathy. Teachers basically learned on the job. And sometimes, that job included a cane. 3. Old-fashioned wisdom. All the teachers got hit when they were children. People thought it was normal and okay. Good even. That's why we have the saying, spare the rod, spoil the child. People felt like a little bit of violence, or firm discipline, was at worst a necessary evil. If children aren't disciplined like wild beasts, then they'll grow up to be wild beasts. Well, that was the idea back then at least. Part 8. The end of a 3,600-year tradition. As education modernized, ideas about child development changed. When teaching finally became a professional career, with training, studies, and actual educational theory, corporal punishment slowly became unacceptable. And today, China's Ministry of Education officially bans physical punishment. Though jokes about ancient canes still survive. But after 3,600 years, we finally realized good teaching doesn't require a stick. Only patience, knowledge, and maybe a strong cup of coffee.